Hey guys, we're back with Real Estate Uncovered episode number 9, and today we are going to show you in writing, in text message format, that collusive behavior between real estate professionals goes on to stuff people into houses. So let's head inside out of the rain and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay guys, we're back in the house here out of the rain, and I need to bring you up to speed on this inspection that I did quite a while back for a client. And during my inspection, I was up in the attic space looking around, and I noticed that there were 5 rafters that were either damaged, cracked, shattered, or in a couple instances, even sliding down off the ridge plate. And I'm gonna pop these images up here now, and you can see in this first image that this rafter is cracked, but most importantly, the very right-hand red arrow is pointing to the rafter where it actually shattered. Now there were 2 others just like this. One was actually worse than this one in this attic space. So there were 3 total cracked or shattered rafters in this attic space, and we're not exactly sure what the reason is. It's indeterminable, but it's likely due to some sort of impact or extensive load. The cause, like I said, doesn't matter, because the fact remains that this is damaged and it's going to need to be repaired. Now on top of that, I found 2 more that weren't cracked or shattered, but they were sliding down off the ridge plate. And as you can see here in this image, if you look at the left red arrow, it's pointing to the rafter, and you can see that it is literally hanging on by about 3/8 of an inch at the very most. And so that rafter is almost slid right off that ridge plate, and there was another one just like it. So with the evidence that I have, using my knowledge and my abilities to generate legal documents, I made a recommendation in my report for my client to seek the advice of a structural engineer for repairs. Okay guys, so I sent the client away with the report, and obviously the client went back to the realtor. She was pretty concerned about this stuff in the attic space, and she likely wanted to renegotiate it. Now, I'm not aware of everything that transpired over a couple-day period between the client and the realtor, but I am aware of one of the last conversations that took place between the client and the realtor, because the client screenshotted the texts and sent them to me so that I could see what was going on. And it is clear collusion, and I'm going to put these up here now. So the first text message here, there's not much going on in it other than a little bit of talk about the sewer line. There's really no collusion here, but this was the first one that was screenshotted to me. It's more so this second one here that I'm going to put up here now. I'm just going to read it to you guys. The realtor says, "I also just contacted another home inspector who is a carpenter by trade. He said this: if that picture is of the cracked rafter, I wouldn't have commented on it. That's important. I wouldn't have commented on it because he's supposed to, and I'm going to prove that here in a second. Minor cracks happen all the time due to wood drying out. I don't have time today, but I do have time tomorrow morning." Realtor says back, "I told him we don't have any time. We need to finish this today," or he gave me another carpenter's phone number. I'll call him now. The client responds back, "It's not the cracks, it's the sliding on the ridge plate." Couple things I want to go over here first. The fact that the realtor brought in the fact that the home inspector is also a carpenter by trade is the realtor's way of trying to get the client to not believe the things that I have said, because to be quite honest with you, it doesn't matter that he's a carpenter. A carpenter cannot assess structural damage. Only a structural engineer can. The carpenter can only make the same recommendation that the home inspector made, to seek the advice of a structural engineer. So the realtor is using that as a way to try and make me look incompetent. On top of that, the statement, "I wouldn't have commented on it," that's wrong, and I'm going to show you guys here as soon as we finish this. I'm going to show you why that's wrong. And then he says minor cracks happen all the time due to wood drying out. I think he's referring to checking or check cracks. That is more so for log homes. Wood does dry out, and log homes will snap and crack and make loud banging noises. I'm not saying that milled lumber can't do this, crack due to drying out, but as you guys could see in the images that I provided early in the video, it's not just cracking. You could see that they were literally shattered at the ridge plate, and then on top of it, we also had rafters that were sliding down off the ridge plate, which the client addresses here in this text message. So what did this realtor do here? Well, what she did was she didn't like what I was saying, and instead of just doing what she's supposed to do, which is try and get a structural engineer in to assess this damage so that a plan could be put together for repairs so that it could be quoted, what does she do? She gets her preferred home inspector that she refers out all the time, and so there's that relationship between them, right? I refer you out, you help me sell houses. So she knows that she can get him to say things to try and talk this buyer from, maybe renegotiating or whatever it may be, right? She's colluding with this other home inspector to try and get this buyer to spend their money. Okay, so now that we've gone through that, I'm going to pop up something known as standards of practice. It's my SOP. It applies to all home inspectors out there, and this is going to refute the statement from that home inspector that said I wouldn't have commented on it. And so you guys can see here now, this is what a home inspector is required to inspect and report on in regards to an attic space. Now there's a number of things there, but if you guys actually go 4 up from the bottom, that bullet point states you must report on cracked or split rafters. So it's right there. That's, in our standards of practice. Something else about our SOP, our standards of practice, it is something that I have followed my entire career. It literally outlines how a home inspector is to conduct themselves, the things that they are to inspect, the defects and performance improvements that they are to report on. It has served me and my clients very well over my career. Obviously, realtors don't like it when home inspectors are following this. And then again, on top of it, guys, the fact that I am able to put this up here for you to show you that this needs to be commented on, and then that home inspector in that message said that he wouldn't have commented on it, that indicates that he is helping that realtor sell that house. All right, just to add a couple things to this here, guys. This realtor throughout this entire process was in dual agency, and you guys have heard me talk about dual agency in the past. You've heard me say that when corruption, collusion, any sort of rule infraction, when they're in dual agency, it just makes matters 1,000 times worse because they're representing both the buyer and the seller, and therefore they are to remain neutral. Clearly, these text messages show that this realtor was not remaining neutral. She was favoring the seller because she was trying to get the buyer to spend their money by colluding with other professionals, trying to refute what I was saying. It was just a mess, and it really actually just shows all of you how far realtors are willing to go. On top of this is not the first time that this realtor has done stuff like this. In fact, I will probably have another, maybe 1 or 2 videos in regards to stuff like this, in regards to this particular realtor. On top of that, this realtor is not the only realtor that does this kind of stuff. In fact, it's quite common. Lastly, with this particular client, it wasn't even a couple hours after this client, she was in her late 30s, and she wasn't dumb. She was fairly bright. She walked away, not just from this deal, but she literally walked away from the realtor too, and asked me for a referral for somebody here in town, another realtor, because she was hungry to buy some property, and she took my referral, and she ended up buying 2 other houses. So I look at it and I think to myself, wow, like this realtor here on this deal just kind of threw away not just a client, but multiple commissions. And for what? In the end, she looks very, very foolish. On top of that, she also put it in writing, which ended up making its way back to me, which gives me the ability to show you guys. Just before I let you guys go, I want to touch on something that I explained obviously in the introduction for this Real Estate Uncovered series, probably about 8 weeks ago now. I am doing these videos to make real estate better for all of you buyers and sellers out there. I'm not doing this for myself, because to be quite honest with you, this is actually causing me harm, but I'm doing it for you guys. I feel like this is a selfless act. And I say that it's causing me harm because I'm out there putting myself out there, educating all of you about the stuff that goes on in real estate so that you can't get taken advantage of. And the realtors in my local jurisdiction, their response to this is, let's be spiteful towards Mark and let's try and make his life miserable, which I got to be honest with you, I anticipated it, and I was actually hoping that they would do it because number one, it shows that they are guilty of the things that I am teaching you guys about, and number two, it also shows their character or lack thereof. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. As always, knowledge is power, and we'll see you next time.